Hey everyone, welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. I'm here with Mikey. We're in London and we're shooting with another incredible mechanic engineer.
Very interesting.
We've had probably our best conversations, by the way, when we speak to people who are a little bit more technical. Definitely way more technical than you and I, Mikey.
Oh, by far.
Yeah. This is an individual who worked at Mercedes, an individual who worked during some pretty interesting years, actually, when Mercedes was going through a massive transformation, worked directly with Lewis Hamilton, and an individual, by the way, who also continues to work in motorsport, even though he's not in the pit crews anymore. Please welcome Ryan McGarva.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you. This is actually a really busy time of year for me. We're flat out at the moment. It's the start of everybody's season, so
Brilliant.
yeah, been really busy recently, but glad to be down here joining you guys.
I appreciate it.
Nice.
Well, there's so much to talk about. I mean, I think first and foremost, I'd love for you to give context over just high-level bullet points, your career so far, growing up, motorsport. Was that always a passion? How did you get into it? Like all of that.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town in Scotland, so about as far away from F1 as you could be. None of my family were into F1 either, so yeah, it was a little bit strange. My uncle was probably the only person who sort of watched the races and stuff. My dad watched it a bit. I got into karting. My mum actually used to take me to the kart races because my dad was always really busy working, so that was a bit strange. And then I always had this passion for F1. I always knew that I wanted to work in F1. I would watch it like religiously on the TV. And yeah, I just sort of worked towards, based everything at school around getting into what I needed to do F1 basically.
Right.
So yeah, I did a bit of karting. I managed to, in our last year of school, we used to have free study periods. And that you could basically, you were supposed to have one every day. I managed to put all of mine together in one day. I sort of struck a deal with the headmaster to be allowed to go and work at a Formula Renault team. That was basically just about half an hour down the road. So that was absolutely perfect, and did quite a lot of like race weekends and workshop days and things with them just for free. That was to sort of gain some experience, and like I loved it from that point. Like you were sleeping in the truck, you were like washing wheels, just doing anything you could to
That's
get some
hand-on experience right there. Like.
Exactly, yeah. So, like, yeah, I did that, and then obviously, I think my big break really was I got a job with a little team in Scotland, a GT team called Scuderia Cos. So that was sort of my lucky break. I pestered the team owner with emails and phone calls and stuff, but they actually went on to become quite a successful team. We did Le Mans FIA GT, Le Mans series. So yeah, I think we did Le Mans like 3 or 4 times or something. So yeah, it was mega. Really, that was my sort of big chance to get into motorsport, and then obviously from there went on to HRT Force India, Mercedes.
Oh wow! Did you want to be a driver when you started karting first? Like,
yeah, so there is probably quite a few frustrated racing drivers in the pit lane. I was never, obviously, didn't have a budget or wasn't good enough. But yeah, I loved all sides of it. Like when I was racing, I enjoyed the driving, but I also worked on my own car. I loved all. You
loved the technical side of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think it gives you a good insight as well when you're working on the car and then you're driving it. You sort of get a feel for.
It goes hand in hand because then you know how to make the adjustments, and if you do a bad adjustment, you're okay. I'm not going to do that because X, Y, Z.
And like that goes all the way up to F1. Like even the drivers, you see the drivers come round, they're asking what you're doing, they're trying to learn as much as they can about the car, they're asking the engineers what's going on. Like they fully understand the mechanical side of it, or a lot of them do.
Yeah, right. Because they have to give feedback too.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
They want to make sure they're giving the best.
The more that they understand, the better job they can do in the cockpit.
Right.
Definitely.
Going to pause this episode to chat about a moment we've all experienced. We go out with friends for dinner, and at the end of the night, the waiter drops off one bill. And when we ask them to split it, they say, the machine does not do that. And now you're stuck looking around with your friends trying to do the math. Well, today's sponsor for this episode, Cash App, comes to the rescue for moments like this. Making moves with your money should be simple. That's where Cash App comes in. It's quick, secure, and way more tailored to you than most other apps out there. No complicated steps, no added stress, just the tools you need right when you need them the most. And when it comes to sending money, Cash App has your back. If something feels off, like you're about to send cash to somebody shady, they'll flag it and give you a heads up. It's like having a little security guard watching over your wallet. You can also level up your payments with fun extra like custom messages, stamps, and backgrounds. Because let's be real, even paying someone back for tacos should have a little flair. And if you somehow don't already have Cash App, just hit up your app store, download it, sign up, pop in our code track limits into your profile, send $5 to a friend, and boom, you'll get $10. Easy money. For a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, there's no catch. Just download Cash App, sign up, use our exclusive referral code track limits in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App.
And then, so getting into F1, then HRT, Force India, Mercedes. I mean, that's incredible. I feel like we could unpack each one of those, but what were like perhaps some of the most memorable experiences you had across each one?
So jumping into F1 itself and going to leaving to basically move to Madrid for an unknown amount of time, that was pretty scary. I'd never worked on a single seater before. So packing my bags and heading off to a new country to work in a sport I hadn't really done much in that was pretty daunting. But yeah, you've got to take these opportunities when they come. I was only actually at HRT, as it turned out, for 3 or 4 months, but they were going bankrupt at the time, and then I luckily managed to get a job at Force India, and things just led on from there. But yeah, I think that first step going to HRT, once you're in the pit lane, it's quite easy. It's quite an incestuous world, so it's quite easy to move around and move team, but getting that break and getting in the door is the hard part.
Because even getting into Mercedes, when you think about F1, even that people don't watch F1, everyone knows Mercedes, everyone knows the legacies there. What was it like? Was there a lot of pressure when you were in that garage?
Yeah, of course. Going from Force India, it was quite a fun team. It's sort of that had led on from Jordan. Jordan was known to be quite a kind of party team, and still some of that still had carried on into Force India. I loved being at Force India. It was a great, fun team. All the guys I worked with were great. Everyone was good at their job, and we did a good job with not a big budget. But yeah, going to Mercedes, it was whoa, we need to sort of wisen up here. And you were probably the first little while when you were there, you were really deadly serious and expecting it to be this massive high pressure environment. But actually, you were sort of shielded from all that pretty well. I didn't actually find it as pressured as I thought it was going to be.
Was there as you said, was there a misconception then with going to Mercedes? Was there did you know inside
I built that up in my head that it was going to be this massive pressure cooker environment. Actually, it was very similar to being at Force India. The lads that I worked with were amazing. Obviously they had been used to winning for quite a while before that. I joined in 2018, I think it was. So they'd had quite a period of success before that, so they sort of had come to expect those results. But for me, certainly for the first little while, it was amazing. I was oh my god, we're winning races, we're winning championships. It was you'd sort of worked your whole career to get there.
To be in the winning side.
So yeah, it was amazing. But actually not as high pressured as you would think. Obviously everyone knew that they had to perform, results were expected, and obviously pit stops and stuff like that. You've got Toto Wolff behind you banging the desk if it goes wrong, and you've got Lewis Hamilton expecting it. So it's the pressure's there, but it's mainly the pressure that you put on yourself, if you know what I mean. Actually, from the team side, they shielded everyone pretty well.
And if you have to give people a peek behind the curtain of what your day-to-day look like, let's even say 2018 comes around, what does your day-to-day look like when you're working as part of the team, on and off, like during a race weekend and even outside of a race weekend?
In business, they say you can have better, cheaper, or faster, but you can only get to pick 2. What if you can have all 3 at the same time? That's exactly what Cohere, Thomas Reuters, and Specialized Bikes have, since they have upgraded to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is a blazing fast platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs, where you can run any workloads in a high availability, consistently high performance environment and spend less than you would with other clouds. How is it faster? OCI's block storage gives you more operations per second. Cheaper. OCI costs up to 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. better. In test after test, OCI customers report lower latency and higher bandwidth versus other clouds. This is a cloud built for AI and all your biggest workloads. Right now, with zero commitment, try OCI for free. Head to oracle.com/track limits. That's oracle.com/track limits.
So like the format of the race weekends is always sort of very similar, if you know what I mean, which I actually quite enjoyed. I liked that routine of like you arrive at the track, you sort of know what you need to do, like you go through building up the car, setting up the car, and then you'll be doing pit stop practice. Then obviously you get into the running days where you're like the practice sessions start. You've got you sort of prepare all of your setup, like all your setup adjustments and things like that. You sort of expect the normal sort of changes that you're going to do. The engineers ask for changes. You do stuff during the sessions. Yeah, like so practice happens, then you get into qualifying and the race. Like every weekend sort of just seems to roll into the next one, if you know what I mean. And it's a nice. I used to enjoy that. I liked sort of the rhythm of the weekend, if you know what I mean. It's a bit weird, but
yeah.
And then obviously factory life was very different. It was like it was a lot quieter. I actually didn't enjoy being at the factory. I liked the being on the road, the buzz of the race weekend. I didn't enjoy it when we were back at the factory.
Right.
But yeah, some people.
What do you think now? Because when you were doing it, like there was less races on the calendar.
Yeah.
Now there's more races been added. They just recently announced, I think they're like alternating races. I think between Spain and another track for next year.
Yeah.
What's your take on all this?
Well, that was I loved my job. I loved the buzz of it. I loved the pit stops. That was the reason that I stopped racing, basically, me and my partner.
Because it was getting too
basically
hectic.
It's the schedule was getting ridiculous. Like it was too many races. I really feel sorry for the guys who have to do, like it's just going to keep getting more and more. So that is tough. Like especially if you have a family at home, like it is really, really tough. And they are some of the teams, especially Mercedes, they used to give the guys like 2 races off, which not many other teams do. But even with that, like it gets to a point, like I'm getting a bit older now, I want to walk to the pub with the dog. And the missus.
Gotta add that. Come on, man.
Fiance.
You saved yourself there.
I mean, and you mentioned, you have someone like Toto Wolff behind you. You got someone like Lewis Hamilton that you have to continue to deliver for. How was it? I mean, 2018, probably the best moment of 2018, at least from my perspective, would have been the qualifying session in Singapore, where Lewis probably put up the best qualifying lap ever. Yeah. Were you in the garage during that time? Like, were you in awe a lot of times by like what he was able to do in that year?
Yeah, I mean, Lewis is like, no one can question his talent. Like, he's an amazing driver, and like there was many weekends where he'd be unhappy with the car, and like he managed to sort of just keep relentlessly sort of working through, improving the car, and then you'd been sort of quite far off in practice, and then you get to qualify, and he just seems to
figure it out,
just turn it right. Like he is very impressive.
Right. And in terms of being a fan while you were in the sport, I mean, I feel like a lot of people when they're working in F1, they probably maybe like, I don't know if you're rewatching the races, or are you still engaging as a fan, or are you watching other sports because you're like, I just want to disconnect now? Like, how's that?
Yeah, so I'm a massive F1 fan.
Right.
So I probably wouldn't be rewatching the races that I'd been at. But certainly since I've left the sport, I do watch the races. Like, I'll take a bit of stick from some of the guys I used to work with because they'll say I'm sad, but I do watch a lot of the races, and I still am massively involved in it.
Right.
Any funny or inside stories you can share from the inside in the garage, or like our big mistakes?
Well, there's lots of funny stories. I'm not sure how many are probably suitable for your podcast. So like one thing, it's a bit of a sort of, it's an old ritual that happens when you leave a team. So like basically, I don't know if you guys know this.
I think we've heard stories of it.
So basically, but certainly mechanics anyway, when you leave a team, the other mechanics tend to save up all the slops from hospitality. So like they'll put all the old food and junk basically in a big bucket out the back of hospitality, fill it up with, and it is horrible. And like if you're somewhere sunny and hot, like obviously that smells pretty bad by the end of Sunday. So at my last race, I can't even remember where it was. I think it was Barcelona. the guys had saved up all of the slops basically, and they cable tied you to like a tire mover, so like a sack barrow type thing. So he cable tied me to that, poured all the slops on me, which I was literally retching. I was almost sick. And then they also pour like blue dye on you, so there's like blue dye that they use in the engines. So yeah, you end up looking like a Smurf that's covered in sick. It's really, it's not nice.
The one I seen online was there was a mechanic leaving to go to another garage, and they covered him in gear oil.
Yeah.
Like, and then but I think they were at a racetrack where there was water, and then they thrown him into water afterwards.
Yeah. So a lot of people have been like throwing in the harbour or throwing in like in Abu Dhabi. When I was at Merck, they threw me into the harbour, which was a bit nicer. But yeah, so Force India.
They even did it with Nick De Vries. They strapped him to a cable cart, and then they thrown him into water when he was So even drivers aren't safe from the punishment.
Yeah, but they basically wheeled me up the pit lane and dropped me outside Mercedes and just left me there, cable tied in this.
That's a great first impression. Be like, how are you boys?
What if you decide to come back? What if you were like, guys, I was actually kidding?
I'm not going back.
That like confirms the decision for you. You're like, I'm never coming back. So what about the recent years then? What have you been up to like post, the life in F1? You're still obviously connected, but like,
yeah, so
love to
lots of fun things, to be honest. I'm doing like some of it's just, so my main thing basically is I work for a company called ProSeat Global. So we make driver seat inserts, so like vacuum formed, it's like a beanbag almost that you sit in, and it we make driver seat inserts and anything from F1 to GTs to like we did the seat for Martin Brundle when he did the thing at the end of the season for Sky when he was driving Lewis's old car. We did the seat for him. We've done like Antonelli when he started testing for Mercedes and made his seat. So still travel a bit. I quite enjoy that. It's almost like running your own business. It's not my business, but I'm a contractor for them, so it's like running your own business. Then I do a bit of stuff for the Paddock Club, F1 Paddock Club.
Yep.
So that's quite fun. We go in the pit wall, take some guests from global partners, and they get to sit on the F1 pit wall basically and explain what's happening in the garage and show them some of the data, and so that's quite fun. And then obviously I've started I'm trying to get into doing like corporate talks and stuff, so I haven't done any yet, but I'm trying to push that side of it, and podcasts. Done a little bit of stuff for F1 TV, so
nice,
like tech talks. So it's all like very varied but fun. And
I love that it's all connected though. Still.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is
and
great.
like it's nice to be able to pick and choose what you do. I like the variety.
Yeah.
Did you when you left? Not that you left the sport, but when you left your position at Mercedes, did you find that it was still a tight knit community that you could still reach out to the people and did help you?
Yeah. So like, it's a traveling sort of family almost. Like everyone there, they become your friends, if you know what I mean. You're on the road so much that your sort of friendship group is the people you work with.
Yeah.
So like a lot of my mates still work in the pit lane. So yeah, I know loads of guys in the pit lane, and like it is nice when you go back to the paddock and you bump into all the sort of old faces and stuff. So it's nice.
When you're watching a race on TV, are you roasting them if they mess up? Like you're like, come on, mate, front left. What's going on?
Yeah, I do that.
Well, I'm sure you're getting all the inside scoop on the strategy anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're like they give you the predicted strategy, and you already know it.
Yeah,
you're like, there's no reason they would do that. What with the paddock club? Actually, that's really cool. Like, I know there's a lot of cool guests that typically come through that. Like, has there been anyone like, whoa, this was a really cool guest I got to bring to the pit wall?
No, I think, well, no, not really. Like, we've had like the Qatari royal family, I think, in Silverstone. Wow. Like, they're pretty, I mean, I obviously don't know, they're not really famous, but pretty wealthy.
Pretty wealthy.
So yeah, trying to move them from the paddock club to the pit wall in time before the session starts. That was a mission, but Silverstone's quite a trek.
I bet. What was your favorite track actually, even just as a fan, but then also while you were working?
So I used to actually really like Melbourne. I love the city, and I used to like it, I think, because you'd sort of come through winter time at home, like the rubbish weather, and then you'd done all the sort of pre-season build up, the building the car, the testing, and then it was like, now we're finally back on the road, we're getting into actually racing now. I used to love going to Melbourne.
What was your least favourite then?
Least favourite? Probably actually Monaco, which you might find surprising, but from a mechanic's point of view, Monaco has got really small garages, so it makes your job a bit of a nightmare, to be honest.
Fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the reason that's surprising to me is I almost feel like Monaco is the one race though where like the pit crew more than any other race makes the biggest difference. No?
Yeah.
Like it's like a do or die situation pretty much.
It's just like, from working in the garage point of view,
Right,
there's
it just
no
sucks.
space. Yeah. But yeah, like from a fan point of view, everyone loves Monaco, and I get that. But yeah, just selfishly.
Is the garage still small or like
Tiny?
Yeah.
That's why one of the things as well, when they wanted to add the extra team, the question was like, you can't fit an extra team in Monaco because Monaco's already, you see the pit lane, it's tiny.
Like basically you take the bodywork and the floors come on and off the car every session basically. So like you take the floor off the car, it's like you need 10 guys basically to try and pass it over the board and at the back of the garage, and then they have like little tents out the back of the garage, and it is a nightmare.
You good?
Yeah, no, I was saying we I think was it last year, 2 years ago, we were very lucky. We went into one of the garages, and I actually was there when they took the floor off.
Yeah.
And they covered it in a blanket straight away because they didn't want anyone outside to see the air underneath.
Yeah.
Which is true. Every session you drain the fluid, the brake fluid. I didn't realize that the FIA test a sample every time from every session.
Yeah, so even the teams as well. The teams will take oil samples because they basically monitor the degradation of the engine basically. So they are taking an oil sample, and so like at Mercedes they used to have a Petronas lab in the garage. So they used to test all the oils, and they can see any like particles in the oil. So they know.
So if there was metal in the oil, then they know the engine's on its last legs.
So they analyze the oil, and they know which parts of the engine are made from which materials, and they can, if they start to find that type of metal, they know that there's an issue in a certain area. So
I think I actually went through when I did like this Ferrari tour in Montreal, and they took me to like the Shell Helix lab. Where like the chemicals, I didn't understand what was happening. But it's good to know that was what they were showing.
Yeah, no, that is literally someone's job. There's
literally.
someone at the track that is just analysing, doing oil samples and stuff. It's pretty mad.
And then a final question. I'm specifically interested because you come from a vantage point now where, again, you're connected to the sport. You've worked on the technical side of the sport. You're a big fan of the sport. You were working during the turbo hybrid era. The 2022 regulations came in. We now have the 2026 regulations. What are your thoughts as a fan of F1 of where the sport is going forward? Are you excited about it? Are you a little bit,
Yeah, I think it's good that they're making the cars a bit smaller.
Right.
I think the bigger battery thing, to be honest, I'm not sure about that. To me, to be honest, the biggest issue is every time that they change the regulations, someone always gets it right and someone gets it wrong. So that tends to spread the field.
Yep.
I actually think this year is going to be the best season we've had in a long time because you've had that stability in the rules. So like all the big teams, it's like diminishing returns on the development. So actually we've seen over the last few years, all the teams have got closer and closer, and I think this year will be amazing. But yeah, I think to be honest, in 2026, I think there will be a clear, someone will get an advantage.
Right, right.
Yeah, I think like the regulation changes are obviously always done with the best intentions.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. We'll put Ryan's socials below. Please go and check him out. I can't wait, by the way, when we start doing the corporate talks. Please share them, especially on YouTube. It would be cool to be able to share any if you did do any in the next few months. But thank you again for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you
thanks
for having me.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys in the next episode.